What's going on?
Look at that. It says we're live.
We're live. What's up, everybody?
What's happening, everyone? Vince, you know me. Shit. Human Condition. This is Jesse. He's we're about to drop this video for Jesse Proof.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be insane.
You guys met him on the last one. Anyway, when magic is happening, I know we're at a weird angle right now, and Jesse will have to turn around to address the audience from time to time, and we're gonna have to look in odd directions. But
We'll make do with
we got to this deep conversation, and you can see in the title that I had this epiphany today that we're all challenged. Most of the things that the ailments that we experience that we've seen increase exponentially in this past century.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since we started mass producing food, really McDonald's kind of the start of the mass production of food. All the heart disease, all the mental illnesses, the conditions like cerebral palsy that they just say there's no cure. That's all they say about cerebral palsy. They say there's no cure.
It's
nothing else. Like it took me with my knowledge in quantum physics, how I progressed through my condition, PTSD. I was able to, and I'm not saying there's a cure. I'm not saying, but what I can't find is a place where there's not. You know what I mean? So, what I've realized, the epiphany that I had, to everybody out there, is that we're all challenged, motherfuckers. We're all challenged. Like you're a physical manifestation of the challenge that everybody faces, but everybody is sick somehow.
True.
That is not whatever God is, and everybody knows that I get real assertive when I have a viewpoint, and I'm gonna do that. That doesn't shit on your viewpoint. Whatever you believe, I'm a big believer in that semantics are semantics. If God were standing right here and I said, "Hey, God," God probably wouldn't look in his direction because God don't know what the fuck God means. God doesn't have, whatever God is, doesn't have a name. We named that. We defined God so that we could better understand it and communicate it to people. But that doesn't mean that we absolutely know what God is. We don't. So when I have my opinions and viewpoints on God, on government, on this and that doesn't mean your viewpoint is shit. It just means that I'm real passionate about what I'm talking about, but I'm always open to new ideas. So anyway, the epiphany that I had was that we're all fucking challenged. And we've been put into this place to where we need this system of, not cures, rather, but symptom, this medical system of symptom pacifiers, basically, that it doesn't cure anything, but it keeps us sick and going to the doctor and paying 6,000% profit margins on medicine. And if we don't have insurance, then well, you can stand out there in the waiting room and die, that kind of shit. So anyway, your challenge, and Jesse is a person who has cerebral palsy. So if you see him out there on the street, me, before I got here, looking at you from a distance, I would have thought, I need to baby talk him. Let me go help him. I mean, he's struggling. He's hurting. Like, just my perception of what he might be going through, just trying to move, because it is a limitation for him, is not the truth of what's happening. What is your relationship to the world around you, Jesse? Like, and I know that the challenge that we see from our perspective is not... You talk.
To me, having the challenge that I have, I feel like it's a blessing from God, because, like, a lot of people look at me and they're like, they feel bad because they don't know what it's like to be in the situation that I'm in. And they don't feel bad, like, it's not a bad thing because they just don't understand, you know what I'm saying? So when people come up to me and they ask me questions, and, like, I don't really feel bad about them asking me questions because they don't know. But, like, the thing that gets to me is when people tell me, like, God's gonna heal you, God's gonna do this, God's gonna do that. And to me, like,
what is there to heal?
Yeah, to me, I'm already healed by God. And the people that say that, not to be like disrespectful or anything, but the people that say that, I feel like they're the ones that need to be healed, because like looking at somebody like me, I feel like people should be like empowered by that.
Well, and here's not to cut you off, but to cut you off.
Yeah.
It's cool. We all need to be healed.
Yeah.
You included. We're because I don't believe that in a world that this all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful God, whatever God is, the universe, the infinite consciousness, the divine, anything that is beautiful in the way that I've come to know it, would not have manifested conditions that prevented or that presented challenges such as yours,
right,
to you or to anybody else. So we're all mirrors into each other, is the way I see it. Like you're a mirror into me, and now that I've become receptive to the fact that people are mirrors into me, and I don't take offense or I don't rush to judge, where compassion has become my primary guiding force, meaning I would sit in suffering with another, and in that seek to understand what their ailment is rather than try to figure it out from my own worldview. What your condition is, that comes from asking you questions.
Yeah.
So what you just said is extremely valuable, because me, prior to whatever the divine is, probably landed me here, I would have thought that, like I said, baby talk. I wouldn't have even thought that you could have a conversation just based on my perception from a distance of your condition.
And that's my thing too, is I want people to come up to me and ask me questions, even things that I don't understand. Like, cause the thing that I understand is my brain sends a message to my legs, and that's really all I understand.
Yeah.
But to me, like if you come up to me and you have a conversation and you want to talk about how I feel,
go ahead and address people when you tell them things.
And you want to talk about how I feel about things, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be afraid to come up to somebody like me and ask a question. But like, don't like say things like you need to be healed or this, because it's like, don't come at me disrespectful, you know? Like,
what you could see our perception of disrespectful, and I learned this in dealing with my kids. I would say that what you did was disrespectful. Well, they intended no disrespect. Yeah, they're just kids trying to learn the world, right? So what your perception of disrespectful is another condition that's been forced on us by this world that called things normal, right?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this machine that keeps feeding us this idea of normal. And then in social media now, what it does is it feeds you dopamine hits every 2 minutes. It says, you're not good enough for this reason, whatever your ailment is, whatever PTSD, bipolar, depression, anxiety, which everybody has. You know what I mean? It says and then it says, you're not good enough for this reason. Then 2 minutes later, but you can be if you buy this. If you buy this, if you buy this, look at all these people. If you do this, you know what I mean?
You ever see those commercials that are like, that say, you could take this, but you got side effects of this. Like,
you might want to kill yourself after.
Yeah, the side effect could kill you. It's like, dude, why would I want to take that if something that I'm already going through has the possibility where it could kill me?
I already want to kill myself, motherfucker. They're telling me take this to kill that condition, and I'm not going to kill myself more.
That's just the funniest thing to me. But it's also like you got to look at it like this. We all have a certain type of challenge. So when you come up to somebody and it's a visible challenge, the only thing you got to think is we all relate to each other on some type of way because we all have a challenge. That's why I tell people, don't be afraid to come up to me and ask me questions, because I would be honored to answer them. If you have questions, I'd be honored to answer them, even if I don't know. But like, I want people to understand that it's okay to come up to somebody and ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask a question, because that's how we're all going to grow. If somebody comes up to me and asks me a question, or I go up to somebody else and I ask them a question, if we don't understand, that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to understand things, is by asking questions. There's never a wrong question, just a wrong answer to a question.
Well, and there's So what we need to learn to do as people is seek to understand. And that's, ever since I've been here with you and your dad, that's something that was forced upon me. And I'm also receptive to that because that's what I do now. Like getting through my own PTSD and standing on the other side of it and being able to look out at myself even objectively and say, you're not your condition. I was put into this house at the proper time because now I can look at things that your dad's going through, things that you're going through. I don't have to take them personally.
Yeah.
Things that I'm going through, I don't have to take them personally, even myself. And I can say, I can step outside of myself and I can look objectively at the world around it and say, well, this applies here, this applies here, this applies here. And the one thing I can always get back to is there's one culprit, there's one purveyor of the suffering that we all endure in our daily lives. No matter what the challenge is, financial is a big one. That's a big one. Everybody's kept in this poverty bubble, or threat of poverty bubble, and by them keeping us there, because there's an abundance of resources that this 7 billion people on this planet have access to that we're not grabbing because we believe they own it. You know what I mean? Whoever they are. And I've seen the manifestation of this in a beautiful way through your condition, your challenge, and being able to correlate that to my challenge and say, well, yours is a physical manifestation, mine was mental. My son, he's on the autistic spectrum.
Shout out to Vinny, by the way.
Vinny, yeah, but you can't see it. You know what I mean? We did some different things. You can't see it. So he's in a world that says this is normal and this is not. He's going to have to deal with some kind of suffering because there's a bunch of there's a base out there that calls something normal and everything else not, and then makes you feel guilty or shameful because you have to deal with it.
The one thing I always ask people is, because I always ask them, what is normal? Like, what is people's perception of normal? Because to me, I don't know what normal is. Like, I honestly think that being normal is like weird, because I don't know about you, but I love to be different. Like, I love to be different. I love when people like see me, and then like when I get on stages and stuff, dude, it's like when people see me,
He gets on stages, you don't know he walks on sticks.
dude, and when people see me or they listen to my music, like, people don't know that. And that's the one thing that I like about there's a lot of things I like about having the challenge I have, because I feel like it's a blessing, but that's one thing that I like about making music and doing what I do, because when people see me, they think my lyrics are so good, and the first time they see me, they see the sticks. That's the first thing people see when they see me, is the sticks. And then they hear me rap, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you could do that."
Right. So like you really stepped it up a notch when that Jim, Whack Jim, fucked your dad and you over.
Oh yeah,
stole his partnership and stole your money.
Oh yeah,
and then it just so happened that I was dealing with the same thing with these assholes at URDS. I will say the name. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
When they stole my shit, and then I said, no, that's what's happening to you right now. I think I can help. And then I heard you do that diss track.
Go check it out.
Ready? We're ready, and you put them in their place, and I was like, oh, somebody just stepped out of their shell, but it doesn't look like, from my perception, how, you know what I mean? And that's my perception only. But luckily, I'm in a place where I'm loving to have my perception shattered, so that I can look at things like this and take them for what they are, and realize we're so alike, all of us. We have our unique things, but we're so fucking alike. Mm-hmm. Yet we fight over these little things that this base that feeds us information wants us to fight over to keep us separate.
And the fact that, like, ever since, like, you've been here, I've been having, like, I've always had a deep connection with God or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always had that deep connection. But ever since, like, you've been here, I'm starting to understand things more. Like, I'm starting to understand more about myself, because we get into these deep conversations. Like, me and Vinny will be talking for, like, 5 hours, just talking randomly. And we'll be like, things will just hit me different. When he speaks, you gotta listen. That's the thing with me. When people speak to me, it's like I just listen to what they say.
Because that's one of the benefits, right, of having your five senses encumbered. The prison of the five senses is encumbered because now you listen more intently than most.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's crazy because, like, there's a saying that you can hear. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can do twice as much listening as we do talking.
I never heard that, but I like it.
And when you do more listening than you do talking, you get more information that way, to me, because, you know, if someone's in the middle of speaking, and because I do it too sometimes, where somebody will be in the middle of speaking to me.
Me too.
I'll be like, dude, I got to get this out right now. You know what I'm saying? But there's also times where you just got to sit back and listen and gather the information, because there might be something that they say that latches onto you, and you just keep it in your brain. And that's how we evolve as people, is just by listening to what the other person's got to say.
I'm a habitual line stepper in that regard. Like Charlie Murphy would say, he said Rick James was a habitual line stepper. I'm a habitual line stepper because I always have something to say. And there's a friend of mine, Joe. He would say, he says to me, he says, I don't have the words that you have, but I know what you're saying. I said, but you're a genius listener. That's kind of like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's a genius listener. Because he considered himself, they'll say, I consider myself, he knows he's smart.
Yeah.
But I think there was a point where he didn't consider himself smart. So he genuinely wanted to hear what people had to say. And so I learned a lot from watching his podcast. And that's why we do this long form thing here at The Human Condition, is because there's so much value in being able to flesh out what people don't get in a 2-minute conversation where they're just taking snippets and trying to sell you something. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just trying to have conversation.
Yeah. And that's my thing too. It's like when I first heard Stevie Wonder on the keys and the microphone.
Stevie Wonder's a hack.
He's wonderful. I love that man.
That's the kind of shit you say that's gonna get people. Stevie Wonder's a musical genius, motherfucker.
He's a genius. But I'm telling you, like, when I first heard that man on the microphone and I found out he was blind, I saw that and I was like, okay, that let me know that if he can do it, so can I. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you're doing.
Yeah. And, like, that's my whole thing, is I just want to uplift and edify my people and let people know that, you know, we're really out here making a difference and changing the world. And, like, that's my whole thing with the brand too, like the iCan everything brand, the iCan Sparkman brand is like, it really, really helped me figure out who I am.
People need to figure out who you are too, because when you figure out who somebody is that lives differently than you, especially when it's in extreme contrast, when you seek to understand who they are, you understand who you are.
Yeah.
You start to understand the inner core of, like, even the scumbags that stole from us, right? The scumbags at the gym that stole, and the scumbags at URDS, and the scumbags at Maddenhauser. I said your name. Fuck you. That stole from me, and that will be held accountable.
Oh.
Fuck you.
And this is what I believe.
But let me finish that point. Sorry. I still have to love them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I still have to love them because I understand that, okay, so they haven't had I'll call it a luxury, the trials and tribulations that I've had to endure and that you've had to endure your entire life. They haven't had the luxury of overcoming that yet. So when they do, they'll get to a place that we are, and we're not going to reject them. We'll bring them back in. It's like, you know, you tell the bully, this is what we're doing with We the People. We're telling the bully, we're not kicking you out, you fucking money-grubbing motherfuckers.
You just got to be in the back.
We're taking our ball and we're going to play on this playground because we know we have access to abundance.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to act right, come on back. You know what I mean? We're not casting you out. This is an act of compassion that we're doing here. You just won't listen. When you're ready to listen, you come back because, like you said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So might as well access whatever God gave you.
Yeah. And my thing is too, it's like with this situation, it's like they still got to be held accountable for what they did. So
that's how you grow.
Even if you do forgive people, they still got to be held accountable for what they did. Because what they did was wrong.
Right. And the only reason I'm still here holding them accountable, and you are too, is that it's spiritual bypass to not hold them accountable.
Yeah,
like if you just let people like this infringe and you don't do anything about it, that's how the abuse has perpetuated. That's why now everybody has some kind of fucking challenge that really, whatever God is, didn't intend for this to happen. So now you're a manifestation of that in a physical way. When people see some manifestation that they don't have to deal with, don't shrink away from it, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us will cower because we feel so shameful that we can walk or talk. But it's not that. It's that, no, you have an opportunity to learn about you through this person. And what I found out with you is that you internalize concepts that took me 40 years to get. You know what I mean? And then you put them into use because you listen. You put them into use like immediately, and you grow. And I've been able to watch that over. It's been a couple months now. I've been able to watch you grow and learn in a way that it took me years and years of therapy and going through different therapists and books and blah blah blah. You're able to get it, and that's a superpower.
That's why I connect with art. That's why I connect with artistry so much, because there was a time in my life, man, where I didn't talk to nobody about nothing. I was raised on the silence is gold, and you don't talk to people about your problems. You don't do none of that, right?
That's what most men in this society were raised like that. And shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And to me, it's like the music is the one place where I could go, and I felt like when I made the music, like my disability or challenge or whatever you want to call it, for that second I was in the booth, that second I was on the stage, that shit just went away for that amount of time.
Let's see if we can see. I don't know how to make it play like on this, but I'm gonna put. He's got War Ready on iTunes. You guys should check that out.
Yeah,
I'll post a link tonight, but I'm gonna try to play it right now.
Yeah.
Into the mic and let people hear exactly what he's saying, because you see that he's challenged. It's even hard to see with you sitting down that you have any challenge, because you're looking all good and shit. You got your iCan on as always. Let's shout out our what a reason. Well, I'm Vito. For against the world, my boy Vito Galati, and then I got all them tattoos with David Gavel. Check out the iCan Spark out there, brand. You feel me? We got the Detroit. Oh, Tony, Tony's coming to drop. Hey Tony, we're in the middle of a podcast right now, but are you coming to drop off a car, my brother? Yeah, I'll have to call you back after this podcast, but okay, all right.
Short intermission there, people.
Yeah, no, that was because we're talking about God and divine intervention.
Yeah,
like that's where the car's coming from. You know what I mean?
Hell yes, man.
So let me try to get War Ready up here, and hopefully it plays into the mic. But I just want you to hear like the contrast in what. So if you see Jesse out there walking with sticks, or anybody like him, there's no way in a million years you're thinking what you're about to hear, and then you'll hear more crisp later when I post the link.
And dude, let me tell you, the music is really how I take my pain and turn it into my power. Because for a minute, it was hard for me, man. Because it's like, you know what I'm saying? But
go ahead and address them, and I'm going to find more ready. And
okay, so me and my dad, we went through this situation with these people. By the way, whack Jim, you're whack. Yep, nobody go there. But we went through this situation with these people, man, and like,
well, don't take that back. Take that back. Say you can go there if you want, but here's what happened to me.
You can, but
here's what happened to me.
So their daughter took my caretaker Claudia. Shout out to Claudia. And they showed this picture of my dad. Right, and his eyes were all red or whatever. And then she said to Claudia, "We can't believe that Gary, my dad, gets high with his retarded son."
So just to provide context to what happened here, so Gary was promised a partnership. And I'm speaking on it for Gary. Gary can speak on his own, but this is going to be a legal thing because they're suing. and they filed with the EEOC, however you say that, the Equality Employment, whatever. I don't know what the anagram is, but anagram, whatever. The initials. So he filed. So this is still happening. They're probably sitting at this gym thinking that it's not happening, but no, they had to file a complaint because you have to hold people that infringe on the unalienable rights of human beings. You have to hold them accountable. You can't just let them go. If you walk away, they're going to do it to somebody else. They're going to do it worse. Luckily, Gary and Jesse are strong enough to stand in their truth, and that's when they met. When they came, they didn't. I've known Gary forever. We've been through a lot of stuff. But when they showed back up in my life, I was standing in my truth. It was actually the day, ironically enough, that I was kicking the police out of my room when they tried to kick me out of that room at what was it? Affordable Suites. So anyway,
that's when I showed him the video, and I was like, Vinny's doing the same. I showed my dad a video of Vinny because he was talking about the situation, and I showed my dad a video, and I was like, I think we got to go pull up on Vinny.
And Gary just went, not coincidentally, divine intervention. This was when he was starting to realize that they were trying to screw him out of his partnership at this gym. So this gym, we're just gonna, I'm gonna say it, sue me, Mac Gym. So they got him into they didn't give Gary a contract, and Gary is an ex-felon. He told you that on the show. He is now what, 10 years clean, and so weed isn't fucking, when you're prescribed weed, it's a fucking medicine, bitch. So what they were trying to shame him with was the fact that Gary smoked weed on a couple occasions. He hasn't since I've been here, but it doesn't matter. Smoke it all the fuck you want. You know what I mean? That the fact that was ever illegal, that's a whole different podcast. But anyway, so they did this little thing where they had Gary take all of the employees out on New Year's Eve. And Gary didn't want to. Gary wanted to go home. He was tired. This guy works more than most people I know. Do non-stop.
I'm the hardest.
Probably more until, like, I don't even. He kind of reminds me of Glenn. Like, no hate, Glenn. Glenn finds hours and days that I don't know where they exist, and Glenn is out there doing things for people. Gary's like that too. He finds hours that don't exist in time and space, and he makes them work for him. So he wanted to go home, but this owner of the gym said, no, I need you to take the employees out, and can you do it on your own dime? I'll pay you back for it. Takes him out. So when he comes back to work, he starts getting weird questions. Were you high on New Year's Eve? Were you? No, I wasn't high on New Year's Eve, and he wasn't. And then he gets shown a picture. It looks like you were high. And Jerry's still living in this shame bubble too, this shame prison, because he's spent years, trying to get his life back. 10 years since he's been out of prison, just working his ass off, trying to make his life right. And then narcissists know that they can shame a person, and they can keep them in that shame prison, and they can usually win because they'll shrink back into shame. So they came and they said, first they approached Gary. Were you high? No, I wasn't high. So they had this picture. It's so fucking shoddy too. Like, it was such a sloppy scam, but it was superimposed of his eyes. And I'm like, who would take a picture like that? Because it wasn't a picture. It was something that they'd taken from a long time ago.
He didn't even look like he smoked. He didn't even look like he was.
Well, it wasn't even the same shirt. Like when we pulled the picture back, it wasn't even the same shirt. So Gary said, no, I wasn't. And they were trying to shame him on, you're smoking weed. This was the angle they were taking at first, kind of like the misuse of funds that the bitches at URDS were trying to take with me. So ridiculous. And when it failed, they started looking for other ways to do it. So weed was what they thought they were going to get him to sign a new contract that wound up precluding the original agreement, which was a partnership. So anyway, they had this thing of his eyes, and I'm like, that's not, nobody takes that picture. What's really going on? He says, that's not my shirt. And then his caregiver, Claudia, who's a beautiful woman,
shout out to her,
doesn't want any conflict whatsoever. She had bought into a training program at the gym. She gets called into, or she comes in to say Happy New Year to the daughter of the owner of this gym. This girl says, have you seen Gary smoking weed? And she shows Claudia the picture. She says, ask Gary, he'll tell you. You know what I mean? Real simply. And then when she doesn't get the answer she wants, she says, well, who is it that smokes weed with their retarded son?
Yeah.
And if Gary came, well, I want to tell it because I know it clearly the way, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell your perspective, but I want to make, because the way you were saying it before, I want to make sure that there's legalities. So Gary comes back to the room. Jesse doesn't even know yet that they had said that. He's like, he pulls me outside because he doesn't want to hurt Jesse's feelings. Jesse's stronger than even his dad knows. And he pulls me out in the hall and he says, this is what they said. They pulled my caregiver aside, Jesse's caregiver, and they said, hey, do you know who smokes weed with their retarded son? And I was like, what? And I was like, you got to tell Jesse, man. That Jesse can handle that shit. You know, me and Jesse had only talked a couple times in, but I knew, like, you got to tell. So anyway, all of it came out, and Jesse, how did that make you feel? Because that was your extended family.
Oh, dude, it made me feel terrible. Like, it made me feel like crap, honestly, because, like, bro, I thought they were my family. So, like, when that happened, I was like, really? Like, it was hard for me to sleep, but I couldn't believe that they did that to somebody that was so loyal to them. I'm telling you,
built their gym.
I swear to God, my dad and me, when we were repping
His dad right out of prison.
Yeah, when we were repping the whack gym, we literally wore.
You can address the audience.
When we were repping the whack gym, we literally wore their gear everywhere.
Everywhere.
I would wear it to the freaking shows I was doing, everything. And then, like, for them to just do that shows how low they are.
Well, and when you were out there repping, you built their membership from one small gym to 3 gyms. And then when the money started coming in, they wanted to get out of that contract with Gary.
Yeah, and we brought our people in there and everything, like.
And now they're all going over to Victory Gym. If you guys want a gym, go to Victory, because that's where Gary is now.
Shout out to the Victory Gym.
And they're doing big things with C.T. Fletcher, with Julius.
And shout out to Extreme, because Extreme's where he's working here.
Extreme, yeah. Victory is where you did the thing with C.T. Fletcher. Extreme is the gym that where it's come and get the membership, and he's building it like he did for Whack.
But shout out to Keith and them, though, because he's helping me get ready for this bodybuilding show. But Extreme's where he's working at. Shout out to Extreme, man.
Extreme is the gym. It's where's that at? Just a quick plug for your dad. It's in Macomb, right? I'm following you. Google it. We'll give you information later. But he's at a new gym now, and he's doing it. So what he showed when he left Whack Gym, I'm just gonna call it, is that he was the brand, right?
Yeah.
And what they did though is they thought they were going to keep all those people. They even thought they were going to keep you in the gym.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's the crazy part. Like, if anybody, like, me and my dad are very close. If anybody ever thinks that I'm going to go against my dad just for a gym, you're out of your freaking mind. There's no way that I would ever do that.
But these were like your best friends. Like, right, so I've studied a lot about, when I get passionate about something, I study it. So I know enough about brain function to be able to correlate most things to some sembling of my own personal experience, even though I'll never experience fully what it is to be you, or what it is to be a black man in America, or a black woman, or a woman, or, you know what I mean? I'll never know that. I'll never know what it is to be a trans person. I'll never know what it is to be a gay person. I'll never know that. But I can correlate my own experience because I seek to understand. So I know about your sensory issues. You've spent 8 years at that gym getting your routine down. He's in the gym every day. People who make excuses, he's entering a bodybuilding competition right now. He won't cheat on his diet under no circumstance. And from a distance, you would think he has every excuse he can make in the world to not, like, why? He does it. He does it because he's driven that way. So that's part of we're all challenged. Get in where you fit in. That's the reason for the
podcast.
Yeah. So when these people, he never had family outside of his extended family, and you can imagine what it's like for somebody right? You don't even have to imagine. You can say what it was like. Kids are dicks, right?
Dude, it was my thing too. Like when we went there and we would support them and everything, and then they did that to us, it was hard for me to sleep. It was hard for me to do a lot of things. Like for a while,
And you had to go find a new.
I couldn't sleep. I had to learn to. I'm pretty good at talking, but I had to talk to new people and figure. But for a minute, it was hard for me to trust because I'm like, the people that I really trusted over there, they freaking stabbed me in the back. So it made it hard for me to talk to them because I'm thinking, man, they might do the same thing.
So it's hard for you to trust anyway because I know what hypervigilance is. I have PTSD. I know what it is to look over my shoulder and not be able to trust the world. I just know from your perspective. So here's where we all relate. We relate at the level of trauma. All of the trauma mechanisms are the same. The way that those manifest, the way they manifest is different, though. The triggers are different. So when you say racism, for example, or retard, right? You say that it triggers something because there's this stigma that the world has attached to it. So you can't, once you're triggered, you go down into you can't get into your neocortex. You're stuck in your amygdala. Your brain's trying to process, the blood flow is trying to process whether or not to go into fight or flight, survival. So you can't even get into your neocortex to have a good conversation. So when words like that are thrown around and you don't have the training, so to speak, which is what I'm proud that I've been able to do. I did it for my own self-preservation, but now I can extend it outward. When you don't have that, you don't know how to get past that mechanism into your proper, to where all your good decisions lie, which is your frontal lobe, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't even get there. And we live in a society that promulgates those words, those trigger mechanisms. So where I relate to you is in the trauma. I know what hypervigilance is. I know what it is. And I know, and now because I can relate to that, I can say you must have had it worse because people are looking at you differently all the time, and you can't take that off. Me, as a white man in America, not to get into the whole race thing, but one thing that was very profound when Lanice said in one of my groups, I can't take my black skin off. And then I thought, everyone's going to have a perception of what that is differently in the country. Right. You know, just like everyone's going to have a perception of who you are differently, and you can't take that off. You have to live with that every day. And then you got to get a little dickhead kid. No one's a dick. But you know what I mean? I'm just trying to make light of it. But people don't, because they don't understand, they judge, they fear, they separate. Right, and they create distance between us so they can feel better about themselves in the moment. And then you have to deal with the onslaught.
Yeah, and then that's my thing too. When we went there, because we went there to ask questions and figure things out. Like my dad went to the gym to ask questions and figure things out. And then we went there.
I know, I wrote the text.
And then they called the police, and I was like, then we were driving to the studio, and I was heated about it, man. I was heated about it.
And
I'm like. We went to the studio, and my boy Marco could sense. Shout out to Marco, by the way. My boy Marco could just sense something was up. So he put on a beat, and the way that I express myself, the way that I really express myself and get things out is through music. That's why, like, music for me is the therapy, man. Because if I didn't have the music, I would have just freaking been out there trying to, like, figure it out for myself or maybe do something crazy, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm grateful that I have music and you know what I mean? Because
I do. And I'm going to try and, you know what, I'm going to play it right now, and I'm going to try to find it so I can post the link while we're playing it. This is Hood Studio isms.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, this ain't.
Yeah, that's War Ready right there.
Hey, wait. Oh, he remixed it up.
Yeah, it was dope. I'm not over here with just standing the truth. That's what I do. Every time when I step in the booth, my name is iCan, War Ready to shoot. So you better understand it. I'm coming to you on the duck and get smack for you quick. That's what's up. Never lag facts on the track. The time is up. Back. Full of handicap killers and you backing it up to set it up.
I team you kings, keep the temperature right for all types of things. We're champions, all types of rigs. Just step it up or we could fight in the ring. Hand-to-hand combat, the bell go ring. I carry 2 weapons. Then, war ready and the aim is steady. I have you like Eminem, puking monster gay. And this vibe is heavy, like the crown on my head, all I see is red. I got it from my pops and you heard we said Sparkman, got heart man, and we staying on tech. Better stay with friends, cause enemies sink 6 feet to end. Don't care what you think, I just repeat again. Cause enemies sink 6 feet to end. So get an install, let it safe going in. Standing the truth, that's what I do. Every time that I step in the booth, my man just says, iCan war ready to shoot. So you better understand if I'm coming for you. Fuck Mega Gym, cause they whack this shit. Without pops, they can't handle shit. And the man with it, not even with sticks, can't stand in this shit. I can be the man with it. 6 years and we put our stamp on it. Now we like, nah, you ain't a fan of it. So now we like rubber couping damages. We've been putting you on too long for nothing. And this retard will go hard for nothing. To God front and see you in the past to be up to something. Sheesh, I'm a dog off the leash. The bite bigger than the bar dog, I'm a beast. You acting like we the ones high in the street. But ain't you the one on some boxing the speed, adding it up. Me and my daddy would suck if we ain't taking you to court, then my rap ain't enough. What? Me and my daddy would suck. So fuck you at it, Jim, you ain't lifting with nuts. Rich, to extreme we switch. Supreme team get crazy rich. This ain't no beginning, ain't no glitch you over there calling cops acting just like a snitch, bitch. I'm just standing your truth, that's what I do. Every time I step in the booth, my name just, I can't war ready to shoot. So you better understand if I'm coming for you. For you. Who's the retard? Who's the retard now? Why is it a retard? Look, man, they're like, own it. Hey, own it. I'm telling you, like, that song to me, that really made me understand that it's okay for me to stand in my truth and be okay with whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's okay for me to speak my truth.
And this is acceptance. This is what a lot of addicts in 12 steps or people in general have problem with is surrender. Look, life is this. I can't control people, places, and things. I can't control physical ailments that were bestowed on me by whatever forces. I have this right now. If I want it to be different, I got to accept it as it is right now and then move towards the change, right? Like, I got to take it for what it is, and then I got to move towards the change. Like, what you did in that track was you accepted everything that was happening right then. You spoke on it, stood in your truth. You didn't cower behind, well, if I say this, then I did. No, I know I'm telling. That's what I'm doing with my case right now. That's why I can say their fucking names, because I know what the truth is. There's no three. Usually there's your story in court. This is how it works. Their story, then the truth, right? There's 3 sides. In my story, there's the truth, then all the stories they tell. In your side, there's the truth, then all the stories they're going to have to tell to try to get themselves out of it. That's all they got. So that's why I was just telling you, stand in your truth. Stand in your truth and let the chips fall where they may, because I believe we're at a time where integrity can prevail.
Yeah.
If we all accept that we have challenges and we can embrace the fact that there are challenges and all those challenges are fucking different, and that doesn't make us different, that makes us more together than more alike than we possibly know. You know what I mean?
And that's my thing too, man. It's like, ever since like you've been here, like, and we had those deep conversations, not only are you getting a better understanding of yourself, but so am I.
Well, and you and we are all one. So when we understand somebody else, we understand ourselves. When we hurt somebody else, we hurt ourselves. I'm not trying to hurt the guys that are going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt now. Like, they're going to suffer because they can't come to grips with, and so is Whack Jim. They're going to suffer because they can't come to grips with what they did. They won't admit responsibility for what they did. But through that, hopefully they grow. It's not an intent to demolish, and I know you guys don't have that intent for what. If they were to apologize and admit what they did, you guys would probably not be friends, but you could at least say, okay, well, hopefully you grow now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Like, we just want them to take accountability for their action.
And it's the same here. They got to pay, too. They stole your money. They stole your livelihood.
Exactly.
You know, they can't just get away with it.
They put us through trauma. Yeah, like that.
I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, I've been here. You know what I mean? I say,
telling you, because when that situation happened, it was hard for me to sleep for weeks.
Just off the money shit. Fuck the money shit. Like, that was your family.
Yeah.
Your family fucked you over. The only people you trusted, because when you live in a situation like yours and you've had to deal with people saying shit to you your whole life that don't even know you. They haven't even, I have taken an opportunity to talk to you. They just say from their perception and what kids do. And then to go trust somebody and have them shit on you.
I used to tell people all the time, like, the owner of the gym, like, she was one of my best friends. I used to say that all the time, and to know that they could just stab us in the back like that
over some fucking money.
Yeah, and not even think twice about it is what gets to me. Is like,
that's what got to me. So that's why I'm here. That's why we're in this fight. That's why the magic. We started one of our conversations tonight, and I said, when the magic happens, we got to set this camera up. We got to go. I don't care if the angle's fucked up. I don't care if we don't have a backdrop. I don't care about whatever.
And that's my thing too, bro. It's like before I started talking to you, or before I started realizing like it's okay to stand on your truth, like I would have been afraid to talk about shit like this. But now that we have the platform and people listening to it, shout out to everybody out there that's listening.
I know it's another impromptu one, and we'll get it together. Yeah. Sean Stone, I can't wait to talk to you. And we'll get it. It's just we're going through so much right now. We're actually out here standing up to the enemy. Yeah, the enemy that's and it's not these little people out here they're piss ants in the great scheme of things, but they are a conduit to the perpetuation of this system that keeps us all suffering. So we're actually out here doing battle right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to organize, because we don't have the financial means. We'll get them, but to the victor goes the spoils, right? And we will be victorious. And the meek will inherit the earth. I think it's our time. I think it's time, it's time for people who've had to suffer through conditions and have seen the light at the end of that tunnel. I think it's time for everybody to start rising.
It's time for the misfits. It's time for us all to rise up and stand in our truth and stop being so afraid to do that.
Right, and to do that, you got to know that community has your back. And that's what I learned through this We the People thing, is that I just stood in my truth. And then all of a sudden I started realizing that, oh shit, because you forget when somebody tries to shame you like that, you forget that you're a good person. You get stuck in this court system that just wants to move along to the next thing. And it dismisses anybody who's trying to say anything that doesn't have money behind it. So you start wondering, did I do something? You know what I mean? And you start doubting yourself. And what I realized is that if you have integrity, even the slightest bit, which most people do, it's innate, and you make a choice to live it, at some point you're gonna come into great opposition, but you will also find community, real community. And what has happened through this process with me is community has pulled me through. You guys were some of the people.
Right.
Like the reason I'm not living in the trauma of having to deal with those corporate long-term hotels is because you guys showed up. And I was so resistant to do it because my ego said, no, you don't want to be in anybody's space. You're taking up people's stuff. You know what I mean? But then that night I came here and talked to you, I was like, something beautiful's happening here. I gotta stay.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And like I told you, like you being here and us going through the situation makes me understand more about myself and have, because I've always been compassionate about people. Like it's always been something that's been in me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm starting to understand like some of the things that we get angry about or some of the things that we're upset about. It's like, should we really focus on those things like that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, cause we all like, like Vinny always says, we all relate through the trauma thing. So if we could just figure out,
ask each other, why do you feel that way? Yeah, why do you feel that way? And if you want to, give somebody on, like, we just wanted to get out here because we had these conversations. I'm like, we should have them in public so people can take from it. We're not trying to force anything down anybody's throat. No, just take from it what you will, because there's a movement happening here. Handicap hip hop, iCan, we the people.
we the people.
This is all about saying that the majority of us matter more than money. That's all we're saying. We matter more than money. Your thoughts, no matter who you are relevant, even if I disagree. You know what I mean? And if you're quote unquote different from me, well, I should be asking you how it feels to be that way. Why do you feel the way you do? Rather than saying, no, you can't possibly feel that way because I don't.
Yeah. And it's like, that's how we all learn, is by asking each other questions.
So hopefully this is a conduit for anybody who's watching. I know it was we're going to push these episodes. We will. We're getting all of our ducks in a row right now, and we're going to start getting organized. But you want to give everyone an outro? I'm not gonna let you hear Jesse Proof. Jesse Proof is coming. We're dropping the video for that. It's fucking hilarious.
It's gonna be great.
It's him making fun of his condition. You know what I mean? Like,
shout out to Dave Chappelle, by the way, man.
Dave Chappelle is coming. It's coming.
It's on the way.
Show you how you make fun. Right? It's good.
It's on the way, man. I'm telling you, it's on the way.
Dave Chappelle opened the fucking doors in a big way, and he doesn't even know what's coming yet. So
shout out to him, man. And if y'all haven't seen his special,
check out The Dreamer. Check out The Dreamer. That's just fucking hilarious. But Jesse, Jesse Proof is him making light of his own condition. He knows what's going on in his life. You know what I mean? It ain't no secret to him.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. I want people to know, like, it's okay for you to laugh at yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's to tell people that. We'll let that be our closer.
It's okay. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, shout out to you. It's okay for you to look at yourself and be different, but it's also
that you tell them directly. They need to hear it from you.
It's okay for you to look at yourself and be different, but it's also okay for you to laugh at yourself and understand that what you got is a gift.
And you speak to the kids who might have similar condition.
And I want you guys to know, the ones that, are like me or different, I want you to know that we're really going to change the world out here. We're making a big difference. So if you guys want to be part of the movement, if you're not already, hit me up, man.
Information's forthcoming. This is the human condition. It says iCan.
I'm Jesse iCan on Facebook. Instagram is If I Can. If you guys want to link up with me, man, and
tell me Spotify,
be part of the movement with us, check me out. Jesse iCan Sparkman on all streaming platforms. Check me out, man. If you
tell the Spotify. What's the Spotify?
Oh, Handicap Hip Hop. Check out the Handicap Hip Hop Spotify. Shout out to Nubs. Shout out to Blind Fury. Shout out to Gifted Hands. Shout out to everybody out there doing the music with a challenge or disability or whatever you want to call it. And if I don't know you guys and you see this podcast and you want to link up and get your stuff out there, hit me up, man.
We're coming for you. We're coming for you.
586-610-7246.
All right, guys, we love you. Love you. Thank you for anybody who chimed in. I'll get to it, I promise. And we're cleaning this up over here. We're going to have the studio space back soon. And you heard it from the horse's mouth. It's Jesse Proof coming soon. This shit's going to blow your mind. It's going to be crazy. All right, guys, love you.